Alright guys, welcome back to the Mixer stage. I hope you're ready to hear about a very anticipated title.
That's right, Ethan. We are very excited to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 with the wonderful Peter, the level design coordinator.
Good. Ooh.
You got that right on the first try.
I've been practicing. I thought you wouldn't know. So I'm going to go straight out the bat here. All we know about this game, at least from my perspective, when I saw that it was coming up and everyone was talking about it, is that it actually was inspired by a tabletop game. Am I right? How did it get to what
it's more of a role-playing game set in like a dark future that was created a while ago, right? The original game was actually called Cyberpunk 2013, and it had several iterations. And what we are doing was inspired by that experience that people had playing that game and the iteration after it. But a lot of time has passed since then, so trying to touch up on something that was created like decades ago requires a lot of creative approaches to
It wasn't just about changing the numbers at the end of the name.
Yeah.
A bit more than that, right?
I wish it would be that easy. But we kind of have to retranslate that escapist thinking that kind of led to the creation of the original role-playing game. We would like to have the same kind of freshness, the same kind of, let's call it wishful thinking, that inspires people to engage in our game world. So we were greatly inspired by the original content, working together with Mike Ponspeth, for example, who helps us creating this whole thing. And we're adding our CD Projekt Red kind of twist to the whole thing, further exploring this universe, what it has to offer for us.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, you guys worked on The Witcher 3, which is probably one of the greatest RPGs ever made, in my very humble opinion. And I'm curious, like, what did your team learn from that experience, and how is that transitioning into Cyberpunk?
Incredible amounts of production experience, first and foremost, how we plan for something huge, because The Witcher 3 was a massive undertaking. We had some experience, of course, in video games coming before that, but none of the previous games were as big. So we kind of know something that we have such a large scoped plan and idea ahead of us. We have to prepare well for it, how we're going to actually pull it off. So that's definitely been a super useful experience. Populating the world with content, people, what to look forward to, how to plan with the inhabitants, for example, of the place. What are the densities of the points of interest? All of the things that we did in The Witcher in that regard are going to prove super useful when basically establishing the final layout of the game. And I could go on. Like, there was so much fresh learning in that process. And there's still a lot of learning. Like, we are figuring out a lot of things on the go, of course. We don't have a recipe. We have a very, very strong dream and a goal in the far distance.
Well, there's one specific recipe I'd quite like to know about. You mentioned there are lots of things in the game that we can find, NPCs, enemies, etc., etc. How can I fight them? Can you tell us anything about the weapons, the effects? I just want to know how hard I need to go in and what I need to pick up first. And
it's a good question. It's a great question.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to have plenty of opportunities, but we are first and foremost a role-playing game. Fighting is not your only option. Like, you can overcome difficult situations through dialogue, for example. You can totally talk yourself out of a stick-up. You can figure out other ways using our playstyle given abilities. We have so many other approaches. You can figure out how to get out of like a difficult location that, like, you've been locked down in a room. Obviously there's nobody to shoot, so you have to reach for alternative solutions to figure out what's going on. We have several playstyles, as we mentioned. Some revolve more around traversal, like our fast solo will be able to wall run, double jump, and explore the locations with a little more freedom. And we have engineering skills, so we can dismantle, disassemble, disarm machinery, put them at your for your own use, so they serve you instead of your enemies. We have net running, of course, being able to enter cyberspace, reprogram connections between systems, accessing remote networks and stuff like that. Plenty of opportunities to do things.
Healthy menu of things to do.
God, I should be taking notes. Now, obviously, you described a ton of options to play the game. What if I want to shoot people? Can you talk about some of the weapons?
You can. You totally can shoot people.
Perfect. We're done. Excellent.
Great.
Thanks
for the
everyone.
interview. It's been wonderful. haven't yet.
Exactly. And we would like to offer a lot of opportunities to interact with your enemies. So we have trickier weapons that are a little less straightforward than just a simple gun. We have tech weapons, for example, which have a sort of an accelerated pellet system that can bring the bullets through obstacles like covers and people, of course.
Whoa.
Like we have lots of other abilities aiding that process. For example, we have a scanner that reveals people hiding behind covers. So combining that with the tech weapons results in like a lot of more efficiency. So instead of like a Doom-esque approach, I think we put a lot more emphasis in how you can explore and discover creative solutions to overcome fighting situations.
I love that. I love being able to go through a game and have a completely different experience than like my friend when we're constantly talking about it and just like, oh, I handled that totally different. I think
and trying to get tips on like, you did that really cool thing. How can I do that too?
Right, exactly.
Like, I need to go down this road and take a right. Is that where I'm going? Actually, you know what? Talking of roads, what kind of vehicles are we going to see in this?
I cannot tell you all of the vehicles that you're going to use, but you'll have a range to discover. Like you'll definitely be able to drive cars that we showcase in our gameplay demo, and you will be most likely able to ride motorcycles, and that's going to be quite a treat.
Oh my god, that gets me so excited. That's
a
awesome.
Motorcycle.
Well, like we saw in the trailer, like obviously you saw a bunch of vehicles, and that was like the first thing I thought. I was like, I want to fly these cars. I want to experience it. So how did you guys bring to life the streets? Like it just seems like so alive. The city, there's always something going on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Communities are always a huge challenge because that's what they have an incredible role in bringing a city to life, like to create this living, breathing environment that you can get lost in, basically. So it's not just about you, but it's also about the people. Like you should be able to place yourself in the game without all the cameras and attention on you. Of course, you're the most important character that you're playing, but you can only feel at home in a city like that if the community serves that purpose. So we're constantly pushing our boundaries and limits to be able to bring as many NPCs and people from the most diverse backgrounds and looks, of course, as possible. And Cyberpunk offers a great opportunity to have the biggest amount of diversity because not only do people come from different facets of life, but also the implants or the visual representation of the implants can come through as like a massive range of like things to look at on people, and this is a massive challenge, of course. But if we pull it off, and judging by what we are showing right now, I think we're able to do this. This is going to be one rich city.
So what about once I've finished looking at every single detail that you've put in here and trying to find everything, what is there for me to progress? What's that like narrative thread that's pulling me through? Like how does the progression actually work in the game?
So first and foremost, there's the story, because we would like to push the biggest emphasis on the story to explore. So that's going to be your biggest progress marker. There's numbers, of course, attributes that you can enhance through all sorts of cyber implants that you get from Ripper Docs. But the story is going to show you, I think, the most visceral part of development in forms of how characters change, how characters interact, how the story affects you as the character you're playing, and as the player, like yourself, how you react to things happening to you in the game. So I think that's one of the most important things to measure how you progress through the game. And of course, you will level up. You have a lot of things to develop in yourself. You'll be able to acquire and buy new gear. You will have street cred to improve upon, of course.
Oh yes, I love working on street cred.
Exactly. Walking down, recognizing, oh, you must be that guy who did that and that and that. Come check out my wares and stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, apparently chat is going nuts. They're really excited for the game, as are we. Like this, it's a big undertaking. So kudos to your team. I would love to talk. Yeah, of course. I would love to talk about clothing and how that. We heard that actually alters how NPCs will interact with you.
Okay, so clothes offer a lot of things. First and foremost, like style over substance. As you look, that's a representation towards you. Like you get to be that cyberpunk character that you want to play. So that's the base thing. And of course, many clothes will offer you all sorts of different protections. Maybe they will offer you some upgrades to your abilities, but this is something we're constantly working on and researching and iterating how we can implement this to work seamlessly. And as we showcase in the demonstration, as we kind of already mentioned, like in the previous sentence, some clothes looking so cool will increase your street cred. Like walking down in something, you will definitely draw eyes and introduce new conversation opportunities, new socializing opportunities. Some clothes will maybe like make you eligible to enter new places and buy new stuff like that was not available to you previously.
Wow.
So I can set myself a challenge to just become the coolest kid in town.
Exactly.
Yeah, real talk, floral shirts, are they in 2077?
Sorry?
Are floral
This
shirts in?
floral
Absolutely.
look
This
that's going
exact
on
shirt
here.
is definitely going to
Thank
be.
you. I wasn't fishing for that, but I might have been.
Don't throw it away. Get more, if anything.
Thank you. I'm
Get
investing
more.
in the future. God,
This is the
all it
future. You are the future.
Yes. Oh my God, that's awesome. So also we heard that every NPC has their own day and night cycle.
Yes.
How did you implement that? Let's talk about that a little.
So this is something we're constantly working on. There's a lot of people we want to have in the city, of course, and we would like to have a huge diversity in what people do. And as in The Witcher, we would like to have everyone in the city have something to do at the specific time of day. And this comes, of course, from presets. Like everybody will have an assignment what they do. So there's going to be street bums, there's going to be corporate agents, and we'll set them up with activities that are fit for that. And of course, these systems will interact with other systems. So if we interrupt a daily cycle of someone by basically starting a shootout on the on the street, that will definitely alter how they exist on the streets. They will run away far away, and then later they will re-engage with the thing they were doing. But they will. The most exciting thing I think will be how these systems interact with each other.
Yeah, I can understand a firefight getting in the way of errands. Like I could totally.
I mean, it would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Bother to have to deal with that.
I'm just trying to do laundry.
Just leave me alone. I'm trying to do just mundane chores.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
We might set up some people with the kind of stubbornness, so like a whole building can collapse right next to them, and they will just resume making hot dogs on the street.
Oh, just
Whatever.
another day.
Whatever.
So, in addition to clothing, what else are players going to be able to customize?
Yeah.
The players are going to be able to put a lot of effort into, for example, acquiring all sorts of cyberware. That is definitely going to affect how custom your character can behave during your adventures. Cyberware is going to mean a lot in the game, and we'll make sure that we have enough to affect every single interaction aspect of the game. Some things will increase your speed, jumping ability. Some other things will help you, like zoom in on distant objects. So I think the greatest customization will come down to how your character can be able to cope with the challenges of the game.
And with you spending this much time with a character you customize, and I like to project myself into these, how long can we expect the game to go on for? And are we able to jump back into the city we've created with the person who we are after we've done the campaign?
I don't know about that specifically, but judging by how long The Witcher 3 managed to entertain people, I think we're just gonna go nuts with content.
You sound really surprised, like they're still going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
playing.
It's crazy. No, you guys make Dynamite games, and so it's just, and I can't believe I used Dynamite in 2018. But it's awesome to see the work that you guys have put into these RPGs thus far, and so I can't wait.
We really appreciate all the love we're getting. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. But before we let you go, are there going to be multiple endings?
Multiple endings, for sure.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice, very nice. You're the level design coordinator. We talked about that a bit, but what is for you personally? What is the most challenging part of developing this game? What has that been?
The most challenging part is making things consistent, because we come up with great ideas every minute, but to make a consistent world, we really have to stick by our own rules, so to make sure that the whole city behaves as it should, and we don't go absolutely like haywire by basically having too much fun in our building process, because this is very much a liability.
And whilst you ask the difficult question, I'm going to end on a very positive note. What was the most rewarding thing about making Cyberpunk?
Coming here and being able to talk about it.
Come off
nice.
it.
No, seriously, I mean the entirety of E3. Like, there's been obviously a lot of secrecy about this title, and we managed to hold out till the very last second not to talk about it. It was completely forbidden to say Cyberpunk to anyone. And after the trailer kicked in, it was such a massive relief. Like, finally we can
talk
show
about that trailer.
Yeah.
Did you have one of those meetings? I think I said this. I spoke to somebody else yesterday, actually, on the Xbox channel, and I want to know, because he didn't really give me a great answer. He was a bit like, oh, I can't tell you that, so I want to see if you can. I asked, is this one of those ideas where you have a meeting and you're like, what idea could get me fired? I know, hacking Phil Spencer at an Xbox.
yeah.
How did that? Who came up with that?
I was not on that meeting.
Okay.
Oh.
thank God someone came up with that idea because it turned out pretty well, I think.
Oh yeah, it did very, very well.
It was amazing. Like, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I literally just said the word superb.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Dynamite.
It was honestly incredible. I was sitting in that audience, and like there was no clue. I mean, it was unbelievable how you guys kept that secret for so long. And then when the lights went down, there was easily a second where everyone was like, "What happened? Like, what is going on?" And another, like, just a nice thing of you guys to do was put the codes of The Witcher in there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, I saw a work in progress version of this. Of course, I saw this before everyone else. And when I saw it, like, those are codes. That's very tempting. No, I shouldn't.
Oh man, honestly, I can't wait to see what other trailers come out. You have a release date? You have a release window that you guys have announced?
We have a very specific release date when it's done.
Oh, fair enough.
Do we know when we can maybe see something more?
You'll know soon enough.
Fair enough. I'll take that.
These are very
We are
great
prying.
answers. Yeah, we are. Yeah, perfect. All right, guys. Well, thing we've been doing after most of these segments is a little bit of trivia. So. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. We're not doing trivia. That's.
We're not doing trivia.
No, apparently.
Well, I can just quiz you afterwards if you want.
Thank you.
We'll just have our own one.
I studied so much, you guys. But no, I'm so hyped for Cyberpunk. It cannot come soon enough. So.
And I think we've said, during this, I'm super hyped, but I think we need a moment to decompress after all that. So let's take a peek at what's happening on the show floor, guys.